Hey guys, our decline average picker. So we are sitting here at the challenge lock building table. Maybe I should pan the camera around. Maybe I'll do that at the end and give you kind of a view, though it doesn't explain all the crap that's sitting on the floor either. But I've had this little series I kind of come back to every so often, just about challenge lock builds and looking at pins, different challenge lock pins. And I'm hitting a point, I think, now with how many I've built that I'm starting to develop a signature. And one of those is no core modifications. I really tend not to modify the core, but I do have a favorite one, and I thought I would share it with you. Let's see, where did I put that one lock at? Oh, it's down there. So yeah, like I said, I don't really do much. I don't do really much with serrations or anything like that. I will sometimes take the edge off of the chambers, and so by that I just mean I will just come in with a jewelry file and I will hit that edge a little bit, just to tip it down, in part because one of the things I tend to find myself going for is trying to get those drivers to drop back down as easily as possible. But I just completed this guy, and it's got partial of one of my favorite core modifications on it that I don't do it a whole lot. I've done it on a few, and it's kind of a dirty trick, I feel like, and that is removing or at least removing some of that bottom warding, which basically removes the picking platform. So this is only doable on a few locks, most notably these quicks. But the tendency is to, top a keyway tension it and come in with your pick and set your pick down on that little shelf and pick up from it. And what I tend to do is cut about half of that out, or a quarter of it. I will show you. Let's see, this is a quick, yeah. So we've got another quick cylinder. Maybe I should just turn this camera on. Well, let's turn the camera around. I'll get you a better view of this. Okay, so this is just a core out of a gatehouse. By the way, Gatehouse is one of my favorite locks for learning to pick on, but they have recently been doing this in a lot of their newer ones where the chambers are hollowed out, and it makes it pretty crappy, actually. I'm trying to swap this out and try different pins in here, especially if you do anything with reduced diameter. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in you, Gatehouse. You used to have a really crappy, decent lock for learning on, and now you've just got a crappy lock. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. But anyway, I digress. So what we're talking about is this little bit of warding right here, and it runs along this whole back side. And one of my favorite things to do is to pull that warding out, or just remove it. Somewhere to about there is what I did on. Is what I've done on this one. You can kind of see it's a little banged up in there. I had a little slip with the Dremel. And I think on Little Spiky 2, which is the one where I first tested this, I actually removed that warding probably about halfway through, so all the way down to about there. That was a dirty, dirty trick. What it causes is an inconsistency with the pick. So if you rest the pick down here at the bottom and pick up, you'll only make it, part way through, and then all of a sudden you're getting this whole different feel, and you've got to elevate the pick and rest it up on that shelf. And it's completely possible. However, because of my laziness, in part, the way I cut these away, they tend to taper a little bit. So you don't have a lot, I guess, with the point where it starts. So let's say it's like that. You don't have a whole lot there to rest on, and it creates this really weird inconsistency through here. Now when you're getting into the back pins, it's a little more comfortable, but as you have to pull that pick back and you're bending down, it's it's like a fulcrum kind of. It has quite a little drop to it, and just makes it really inconsistent, which makes it uncomfortable, and that makes it a little bit harder to do. Now let's see if I can. Now all I do is I just use one of these Dremel bits, and this is basically used for engraving, and I just come in and I just got a focus camera, I act like I'm engraving it with the Dremel, and I just hit it here and take this down. You don't really have to worry about if you scratch up on this side or not. If you end up widening this bit, that's not really a problem. But yeah, I just come in and I just keep going at it with the little engraver until there's pretty much nothing left on there, and it's not too hard to take a lot of it out. There's a hair floating around here somewhere. Keep seeing it show up on the camera. So yeah. Now I don't have another quick cylinder just laying around, so we're just going to have to pretend this is a quick one. With Little Spiky 2, what I did was I took that idea to the extreme, and because it was just one of these little kicks and it was not going to be in an actual housing, though I guess you could still simulate it, it would take a lot more cutting. What I actually also did was I cut out all of this part. So in addition to all that lower warding being gone, there was this giant hole here, and that was basically to get rid of any kind of picking platform that was going to be comfortable to rest the pick on. So it was a much more extreme case. And like I said, I don't do this core mod of removing the warding there too often, but every so often. I've got a few floating around out there I've done that on. This is not the key for it, but this is a key. It does not inhibit the key going in or out at all. It picks right up on it. You don't have to worry about it messing with the pins or doing anything, because you know you're not messing with that top one. So yeah, doesn't need to be there. And having part of it there just makes things more uncomfortable. So I don't even remember anymore where I got the idea to do that from. There was several locks, and I just found them not too terribly comfortable to work in. You had to pick kind of low or something, and but it got me thinking, like, yeah, if you can just make the lock uncomfortable to pick or uncomfortable to rest and stuff in, maybe that will make it a little bit tougher, and I think it does. There's only a few of those floating around out there. Maybe if you've tried one, you can chime in on how much that threw off, but really I think there's probably only 3 people that have run into that lock at this point, or those few locks that I have done that too, but now there'll be another one going out there. You can compound the problem as well, and this was another bit with the Little Spiky lock, which, since it's the one we were simulating Spiky with, because not only had I cut out down here, what that also served to do, besides having now the pick no place to rest, and of course you could fix it pretty easily by just throwing it in a cylinder, right? But that made bottom tensioning really difficult. And so to counter some of that too, I also went in and widened this part up. And that's another thing I like to do sometimes. And I've probably done that a little more than I've done removing that lower warding, where I will come in with again, I will often just use that engraving bit, but I'll just come in and wedge this out some or round it off a little bit. Anything to make it a little more difficult, potentially, to top a keyway tension. So yeah, that's just, I thought I would just share that little thing I do. That's a look at one core mod that I do sometimes do, even though I think I'm probably getting known at this point for not doing core modifications. Yeah, when it comes to, like, you know, the serrating and the undercutting, I just don't. I've got my little ideas and theories on it, and yeah, I think some people are able to pull it off really well, and it works. And a lot of times, though, I think it's maybe aiding the picker, not undercuts maybe so much, but I think it's often aiding the picker with the serrations and everything a little more than it's actually hindering them, especially once the lock gets jostled around in the mail. Sometimes those pins, the heavy serrations on them, they'll tend to stick to all that. So anyway, guys, all right, yeah, just another little video for you. Gonna put some more locks together. Have a good one.